Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. We're on to our final interview for the morning, Marv, 2 after 10 o'clock, and we are joined by the lovely Anissa Mazimpaka, another rising star. She is Mail and Guardian's top 200 young South Africans for the year 2022. She's currently doing a master's in politics, and she is representing us, Salam Media, at Nasrec. When I say representing us, she's one of the crew there that is bringing us back-to-back coverage of the ANC National Conference as it has been unfolding over the last 3 days. Anissa, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam.
Are you drinking lots of Red Bull? I mean, you guys have been burning the midnight oil.
I would assume, we hardly have any time to even, grab the Red Bull, but yeah, it's been quite busy at NASDAQ covering this conference, and it's been really interesting.
Okay. How you are going to give us a rundown of the national conference over the last 3 days, but we're hearing lots of different reports, lots of conflicting reports up until yesterday. Dr. Ibrahim Harvey has been suggesting that Cyril Ramaphosa is the clear winner. And then this morning, he changed his stance and is saying that there's been a lot of horse trading going on. And it seems like Zweli Mkhize is now the favorite. And it also seems as if, however the candidates or the representatives were mandated from the branches, that things might have changed when they were at the conference. What do you believe brought on that change, and what are you reading on the ground at the moment?
Yeah, so to be quite honest, there has been some limitations for the media to actually access delegates and get a sense and a feel. But also it's been quite difficult to kind of read between the lines, so to speak, because while the conference was on to, a slow start, we saw some delegates singing pro-Zweli Mkhize songs, but that quickly changed a few minutes later. On day one, we saw, we entered conference with this controversial issue of Jacob Zuma actually stating that Cyril Ramaphosa has a criminal case to answer. And I think what they wanted to do was actually have the set-aside rule applied to Cyril Ramaphosa, but we did see that that was not successful. We also saw that on the same day, Jacob Zuma actually entered a bit late, when the president had already started his speech, and we saw people burst into pro-Zuma songs, and all the attention actually shifted to Jacob Zuma. We saw a bit of unruliness from the KwaZulu-Natal province. However, the leadership went to calm this down. With regards to day two, we saw nominations being opened, and very interesting, the ANC has now constitutionalized a second deputy secretary general position, which is quite interesting because the Phoebe Potgieter was actually contesting Nomvula Mokonyane for the position, withdrew, and we thought that Nomvula would actually go uncontested, and it would have been a historic move. However, we saw that the Northwest Province brought in their own candidate, which means that, and she did accept nominations, and I think it is for the first time that a candidate actually reached the threshold that was needed. You would have needed about more than 1,000 hands to second you, and she did actually get that, which is quite interesting because the ANC speaks about women representation, and unfortunately with this, you've had women contesting each other for that first Deputy Secretary General position. And on the second Deputy Secretary General position, we have contestation between another male and a female. Unfortunately, we also saw Lindsay Wesisulu, who was a presidential hopeful in this election, as well as, would you remember, in 2017, she had a campaign called It's Us. We saw her accept nomination for Treasurer General, and the room literally went silent. Unfortunately, she did not meet the threshold. We also saw Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma declining nomination for presidency, and she threw her weight behind the MTV. Interestingly enough, we also saw the deputy president of the ANC declining any nominations that came from the floor, and we've been trying to read between, the lines, and we did speak to one of the reporters, who is Juanita Hunters, and she explained as to how David Mabuza himself actually entered current leadership on last minute ticket, and it would seem that he didn't actually have strong support, so he wouldn't really be contending. And on day 3, very interesting with regards to what you were saying, votes being swayed. We saw how to break away. We spoke to Lebogang Naile, and he told us that they entered with a mandate to, vote with Cyril Ramaphosa on condition that his slate included their people, which is Paul Mashatile and Nomvula Mukunyana. And he was indicating to us that it doesn't look positive, which means that they will support whichever candidate is supporting their person, which then became William Kize. Gauteng was divided along those lines. We saw the same thing with the Limpopo leadership, as well as the Northwest moving with Julian Kiwe. We also spoke to Malusi Zigaba, who was clear as to who he supports. He's speaking about, supporting William Kiwe, and he wasn't mincing his word. Spoke to the Africa.
Anissa, can I come in here? Anissa, can I ask you this question? Why do you believe there's been this change in stance? All along, it seemed as if Cyril Ramaphosa would walk this almost, without any strong opposition, that, he would garner the majority of the votes. And just in a space of a couple of hours, things seem to have flipped. They've changed quite radically. What do you attribute that to?
So it would be attributed to the fact that there isn't really hegemony between provincial leaders themselves, but also there's a disconnect between delegates and the provincial leadership, because with one of the provinces, their leadership had actually switched to a different slate, and their delegates told them no, they are not going to vote in that way, because that was not the mandate from the branches. It would seem that some are actually doing individual lobbying, unfortunately, so that could be the last minute horse trading that we've seen. But also, it's very interesting that the media had reported a weak Willem Kize campaign, so to speak, only showing that, obviously KZN would be backing him. But it would seem that Willem Kize had actually done his lobbying behind closed doors, and realized that once they got to Nazareth.
Give us a sense of what you believe. I think Cyril Ramaphosa and his followers were pretty confident that he is going to be the elected candidate. But we're hearing very different things now from the ground. Let's assume, look, it's anyone's game. The race is not over till it's over. So things can change radically, from now till when the results are actually published. But give us a sense of how you think the political landscape is going to change with Zweli Mkhize being elected the president of the ruling party.
So should Willem Kize be elected into the ruling party, I think we will see the re-emergence of what is called the RET,
right,
radical economic transformation, of which this past administration has been trying very hard to suppress. We would see that they had targeted people like Ace Makachule. We've also seen the former president of the Women's League, Basabile Dlamini. We've seen Andile Lungisa from the Eastern Cape, who has also been closed around that. So we would see the re-emergence of the RET forces. But also, interesting enough, I've been trying to ask myself, where does Didi Mabuza fit in, since he hadn't accepted nominations and doesn't feature? But I think that should Willem Kize take presidency, obviously it the nature of the ANC to then remove the sitting president, state president, and replace it with their current chosen president. And it's interesting because normally the succession plan would be the deputy president takes over both the state and politically because of what they call a center of power. However, it would be interesting to see that once Cyril Ramaphosa would be removed from presidency, should Willem Kize take it, it would not be Willem Kize assuming presidency immediately. It would be the deputy president, which would then be Didi Mabuza, who would assume presidency watch.
I should imagine it is cause for concern regarding the RET faction then gaining lots of confidence and probably speed tracking, fast forwarding a lot of their policies. And of course, we do know that Lindiwe Sisulu was very pro RET. Because she wasn't nominated, what sort of a role do you believe should Zweli Mkhize be, elected as the president? Do you think that she will have a huge role to play? Undoubtedly, there'll be a lot of cabinet reshuffling as well. Do you think she'll feature in Zweli Mkhize's top 7, or maybe have a secondary position somewhere along the line?
Yeah, so it would also depend if she does make it into the additional 80 NEC, because preference is given to the NEC. And I think it's going to be a mixed slate. But with regards to her and Zweli Mkhize, I think they've been working very closely together. You'll also remember that when it was time to vote for the Phala Phala report, both her and Zweli Mkhize were absent from the room, which would tell us that they have, taking decisions together. So indeed, she will be very close to Zweli Mkhize should things go his way.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there, but very, very quickly. If Zweli Mkhize and his followers, the people that he then appoints, do you think that RET will kind of be fast-tracked, and what does that mean for the country then?
It's going to be a very difficult because, like I say, I foresee the slate being very mixed. Whether it's Cyril Ramaphosa, whether it's Dr. Zweli Mkhize, they are going to have a mixed slate. It's going to be the same as coming out from 2017, where it wasn't an outright slate that won, which would mean that whatever decisions that anyone wants to take as a president, they wouldn't necessarily have the full backing of the executive, which is going to be very difficult to maneuver around.
Okay. Do you have any idea when the results are going to be published? Because we were told it would be Monday morning. It's already mid-morning. Do you think that we'll get the results sometime today? Because they had started the conference 5 hours late in any event on day 1.
Yes. So voting concluded in the early hours of this morning, and so we are told that counting was still underway. But we are getting updates that we should expect the results around 12 o'clock.
Okay. Anissa, I have no doubt that we will be talking again tomorrow at length about the results and what happens next. Lovely talking with you, and I've been watching some of your coverage for Salam Media. Loving it. Keep up the great work, and until tomorrow, you guys stay strong and drink plenty of energy drinks so that you guys can still be standing by the end of the conference.
We will try to do so. Shukran so much.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum to you. And that brings us to the end of the show for today. It is exactly 10:15 news and views on Salam Media. Olani has been running solo. Thank you indeed. And till tomorrow morning at the same time as always, our eyes are on the elective conference, and we will bring you as much coverage as we possibly can, inshallah. Please just follow all of our social media platforms. Lots and lots of information being updated all the time and as we speak. Take care on the road. Till tomorrow as always. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz from me, Julie Ali.